Okay, we're going to start with number 21 on this video. All right, this is a multiplication problem. So all we have to really do is factor this. So this gives us x squared. The bottom is x plus 8 times, over here, this is going to factor as x plus 8, x plus 1. Now again, well, I'll go over this again. I'm going to factor out an x right here, and I'm left with x plus 1. Now, just as a reminder, this one right here, the box method, because I think it works best. If you know AC method, then continue to use it. If you do trial and error and you know that, continue to use it. You know me, that's what I use. But I show this because some of the students have trouble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say A times C is 8. Okay, so when you do the box, I'm going to put x squared right here. I'm going to put 8 right here. Now, I need the factors of a positive 8 that gives us a positive 9. I'm not going to bother. It could be both positive or they could be both negative, but they're going to be positive because that's how you're going to get 9. You can have 1 and 8. That gives us 9. You could have 2 and 4, but that's just going to give us 8, so we need 9, okay? So, and again, the reason I'm not going to do negatives is because if I had them both negative, then they would add to get that, and we need it to be a positive 9. So that would be, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an x here. You can put 1, it's fine, okay? And I'm going to put 8x down here, okay? So this is what I used. I probably should have done it in red, but oh well. Then I'm going to ask what they both have in common, or factor out what they both have in common. They both have an x. They both have an 8. So that's x plus 8. Okay. Now I'm going to do by columns. This column, they both have an x. This one here, you don't see it, but 1 goes into everything. I was getting ready to tell everybody that. So 1 is the largest factor, so that'd be x plus 1. So notice we have x plus 8, x plus 1, and that's what I have over here. Okay. All right, now that you have it factored, as long as 1's on the top, 1's on the bottom, they will cancel. So the x plus 1's cancel, the x plus 8's cancel. And at this point, some of you are going to multiply straight across, which is perfectly fine, and get x squared on the top and x on the bottom. But then again, this is going to simplify to just x, okay? This is perfectly fine, because again, this has a 1, you subtract your exponents when you're dividing. Over here, oops, I would have said x goes into x squared, and I'm left with an x. Okay, so that's still ended up with x, no matter how we worked it. Okay, 22. 22 is an adding problem. It looks like this. 3 over x plus 3 plus x over x plus 2. Okay, we've got to have a common denominator when we add and subtract. So they don't have anything in common, so you just multiply them. But the way I taught it is write down the first one. Now you go to your second one. Do we already have an x plus 2 over here? No, so we need to list it as well. So there's our LCD. That's what we need our new denominator to look like. Well, this one has an x plus 3. This one has an x plus 2. So this one has x plus 3. It needs an x plus 2. So I'm going to multiply the top by x plus 2. This one needs to have an x plus 3 with it. So I'm also going to multiply the top by x1. plus 3. So when I do that, now I can write it over one denominator. Why I didn't have it on a line, but oh well. X plus 3 over x plus 2. Okay, right here, 3x plus 6. I'm going to distribute that. Right here, I'm going to distribute the x. I'm going to get x squared plus 3x. Now I get x squared. 3x and 3x is 6x. Plus 6 all over x plus 3 and x plus 2. And that top will not factor, so we are done. And you do not have to multiply that out. I wouldn't. That's how I have it on the answer key as well, so that's how I would do it. I mean, sure, if you look at your multiple choice questions and they don't have this, I mean your multiple choice answers, the only other answer they would have is this here, where they used FOIL and got x squared plus 5x plus 6, okay? So you'll just have to look at your answers on your test. I think you would have figured that out. So, all right, 23 looks like this. This comes from chapter 10. Okay, and your directions say to add. That should be self-explanatory because of the plus sign. All right, now in order to add radicals, same roots, okay, they have to have the same root, like the square root of 2 and the square root of 2, then you can add them together. But if these are different, you can't. So what we have to do is we have to see if we can simplify it. Well, we can, because there's a perfect square that goes into 20, which is 4 times 5. That's the biggest perfect square. If you didn't figure that out, okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see. Yes, my calculator needs charging. I hope it lasts through here. Let's see if I can get this to, oh, of course, all the way down here. Sorry, the lighting in here. That goes out. That's not going to do any good. I don't know that I can really get it so that you can see. But anyway, you're going to go to your y equals button, and you can barely see it, but let me just type it in. Okay, you're going to take this 20, and you're going to do 20 divided by x. I'll move it way down here so you can kind of see it. Let's see if I darken it maybe, or lighten it. There we go. Okay, that's better. Good. Okay, then you go to your table. Your table is right here, so you're going to hit second graph. Remember, sometimes we use these numbers, sometimes this number, it just depends. You definitely don't have to worry about your negatives, okay? But 4 is the largest perfect square, and I know it is because it's 4 times 5. There's not a perfect square inside 5. So I can rewrite that as 4 times 5. For 45, I know it's 9 times 5, but you could do 45, that second table. Now, I can look here, and I get 9 and 5, but I also could have looked at my second column. See how the 9's there? Sometimes it's going to be in this first column, sometimes in the second column. So, plus 2, and I can rewrite this as 9 times 5. Okay, now here's the deal, guys. I'm going to split this up and do it really slow because for some reason people were having trouble. I personally would have taken the square root of 4, which is 2, and then multiplied this times 2, and I get 6 times the square root of 5. That's how I do it, okay? I take the square root of 9, which is 3, not square root of 3. It gives me 3. 2 times 3 is 6 times the square root of 5. Okay? Now let's say you didn't know this. Now our square roots look the same. So we now just add our numbers outside and we get 12 times the square root of 5. Notice I didn't do anything with the square root of 5. Now, back to this. This is like saying 3 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 5 plus 2 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 5. I'm breaking this down, as many steps as I can. This would be 3. The square root of 4 is 2. It's a whole number, 2. Some of you keep putting in the square root of 2 times the square root of 5 plus 2 times the square root of 9 is 3 times the square root of 5. So here we get 6 square root of 5 plus 6 square root of 5, which gives us 12 square root of 5. Okay? This is in the simplest form. Okay? So when your directions say simplify, make sure you simplify all the way. Well, actually, these say add, but you're going to have to simplify it. Okay, 24. Okay, just save some paper here. Okay, 24 says multiply, and you have the square root of 3x times the square root of 6x. Okay, one of your properties says you can take them separately, or you can put them together underneath one root. 3x times 6x under one root. That is going to give us 18x squared. There is a perfect square inside 18. That is the square root of 9 times 2 times x squared. Now again, this is the same thing as saying the square root of 9 times the square root of 2 times the square root of x squared. See how we can split them up or put them together? Either way, it's the same thing. Square root of 9 is 3 times the square root of 2, okay, times the square root of x squared gives us x. Remember, squares and square roots cancel each other out? Or you need 2 in order to pull one out, or when you have something like this, all you have to do is divide your exponent by 2. Divide it in half. This had been x to the 6th. You would have pulled out x to the 3rd. Now, the only problem with this is it's written wrong. You need 3 times x, so it's 3x times the square root of 2. And 25 we have this here. Okay, this is the same way as if we had a binomial times a binomial with x's or y's or whatever. 7 times 10 is 70. 7 times 3 to the square root of 5. Okay, that's like saying this. 7 times 3 is 21 times the square root of 5. Now we're going to do this. Negative times a positive is a negative. And what you're saying is the square root of 5 times 10. That's the exact same thing as if you say 10 times the square root of 5. Doesn't matter. So you would write that as 10 times the square root of 5. And then you have a negative times a positive is a negative. And what you're doing is you're taking the negative, well, I'm just going to worry about, well, let's do negative square root of 5 times 3 times the square root of 5. Well, Again, this is just going to give us negative 15, but how do we get that? Negative times positive is a negative. 3, and then you get 5, square root of 5 times square root of 5, square root of 25. Well, that is the same thing as when you say negative 3 times a 5, just times 5. So you get negative 15. Because remember, this does not give us the square root of 5, it gives us 5 because that's a perfect square. Okay, so 70 minus 15, that gives us 55. And then these two roots are the exact same, square root of 5. So all you have to do is 21 minus 10 to give us a positive 11 square root of 5. Okay, let's see, 26. All right. Starting with 26, we start with the solving problems. So from here on out, well, at least for the next little bit, till the end of this video, we are solving, okay? When you solve, your answer should be x equals whatever the answer happens to be. It might be a radical, it might be a whole number, positive, negative, and so on. Sorry, I had to get a drink. Okay, so number 26. Let me get my paper here. I'm going to fold it so that you guys can see it. Make sure I write it down right. Not that you can tell me if I write it down wrong. Okay, 26 is 63, let me just write it down, minus 2x minus x squared equals 0. Okay, 63 minus 2x. Okay. Now, I'm going to stop right there, and I'll be back in just a minute to finish this one out.